You're stuck at home in quarantine. It's 5 o'clock. Why not have a drink with me?
Hey everybody! Hope y'all are having a good Sunday, the hump day of MDW. Here we are. One thing that I failed to mention that's topical the other night when I first read it was, I don't know if we have any New York Times op-ed readers in the chat, but a famous New York City bartender who I talked about last week, Toby Cecchini, who invented and popularized the Cosmopolitan cocktail in the 1980s at the famous Odeon in downtown New York City. Anyway, and then we made the Aaron cocktail a week and a half ago that he also created and said would be the last drink that he would live, or last drink that he would have, if he could have just one final drink during his time on Earth. Anyway, he wrote an op-ed that was really, I feel like, astute and interesting from the perspective of a New York City bar owner, and talking about how obviously like all the independent bars and restaurants really, create the identity and the culture of a city, and how they are not in good shape and not looking good. With even if we do have some sort of staged reopening, it is unclear to him how a bar or restaurant that is that already operate, on pretty small margins can survive with such a reduced capacity. If you can only seat 50% or 25% of people at your bar or in your restaurant, just like how to make up that kind of revenue. And he was making some interesting arguments and proposals for both like financial relief in terms of how insurance is working and legislating that better, thinking about relief for tax and rent payments, but also made the interesting argument about expanding, making an effort to really allow bars and restaurants in the city to like creep on the sidewalk and even into the street in creative ways in order to allow them to have more outdoor seating space in a way that can actually allow them to generate revenue. So I hope that they consider that and do something like that. But it was a good op-ed in the Times. I would recommend reading it. There we go. More outdoor bars in Keith's solution. And I support it. There you go. This is exactly his argument, is just, either cut off some of the street and have, that be the pedestrian way, or just allow pedestrians, or maybe you do it where like one side of the street is for pedestrians and the other has bars so they're not weaving through. But whatever it is, I think, totally go for it. That's the way to do it. And as he put it, that would be like a lifeline and like a small thing that could help at least in New York in the summer and the fall months, to help them to stay afloat somewhat. But thought that was interesting. All right, so out of request from some of our viewers and some folks that we have in the chat today, we are going to be making a drink that is very bitters forward and bitters centered, and specifically we're going to be featuring beard bitters. And so going through my bitters book, I'm like, what's a cocktail that I haven't made yet? Because I am coming up. I think this is drink number 49 or 50. Today might be the 50th consecutive evening that I have thrown on Instagram Live at 5 o'clock to have a drink. So thank you for having a drink with me in that. Keith says, I prefer more public, high tops not owned by particular venues with outdoor drinking allowed at them. There you go. So now it's just, open space where, I guess, is everything just to go then? Kind of New Orleans style? You just take everything to go, but there's outdoor spaces all around for you to be able to drink at. I like that. I'm for that. And I think it also solves the problem of, it's like when you're at the grocery store. Is it better for every aisle to have their own line, or do you just have one line that feeds into everything? And by opening up everything where you can sort of let that go all around. You could have servers too. Yeah. So are they any servers? whose servers are they? In any case, we're going to be making a pink gin. And I don't know if I would call it a cocktail. The strict definition of a cocktail is something that has to have spirits, sugar, water, and bitters. This is sort of a pre-cocktail. It's close to even like a gin sling, only without the sugar in it. But in any case, it'll be a delicious mixed drink that started in the Royal Navy, the British Navy, where they would often, prescribe and give the sailors bitters for their seasickness. And unclear how effective it really was, but in any case, if they were going to be drinking these bitters, they wanted something to make it a little bit more palatable, and so they started watering down the bitters, make it less bitter with gin, and so this drink was born. The pink gin, named such because of the pink color and the pink hue that the bitters give the gin. And so I'm excited to be working today with this brand new bottle of Plymouth gin, and I can't really get it open. So the other nice thing about Plymouth gin is that this is a historic gin that has, it says right here on the label, since 1793. And Plymouth gin is both a specific brand of gin and is somewhat of a style of gin also. And for a while they had a geographic designation saying that, in order to be like certifiable Plymouth gin, you have to be just in this area of Plymouth in England. Much like, champagne has to be done in Champagne and cognac and et cetera, et cetera. That actually expired back in 2015, so that it's no longer a technical geographical restriction in order to have this type of gin, but it is still, here we go. But this gin in particular, aside from being both its own style and namesake, has a long history with the Royal Navy. And it said in the mid 1800s, this is what they were paying their sailors with rum, but all of the officers were drinking Plymouth gin. The Royal Navy was one of their biggest customers, buying hundreds or thousands of barrels of Plymouth gin a year. And it's also said that every time that a new ship in the Royal Navy was commissioned, they would be given a Plymouth gin commissioning kit, which had 2 bottles of Plymouth gin along with glassware in which to drink it. Some more activity in the chat saying that bar-specific decor vibe would suffer with communal spaces. Agreed. So it was something about the reason that they had the geographic designation was a result of some ruling in like the 1880s that I guess had some sort of sunset to it, and then they'd known for a while that it wasn't going to sort of live on beyond there, but unclear exactly. I like too, this bottle has this little, I guess it's like a monk on the back of the sticker. I don't know if anybody else has played with Plymouth gin and has this cool sticker on the back there, but that's pretty cool. It says Blackfriars Distillery. That's a reference to the original distillery where it was made hundreds of years ago. I think there's some lore that actually, like, even before this official distillery opened on that site, even before then, they were making drinks with this gin. All right, so what is this? This is literally just a whole bunch of bitters and gin, and that's it. 2 ingredients, super simple, super straightforward. If you don't like gin, you're not going to like this. The other thing that's I feel like strange about gin is, as you think about your lineup of spirits, gin is really the one that you don't drink straight. You can. It's totally normal to order, just a glass of whiskey, glass of bourbon, glass of tequila, glass of mezcal, glass of brandy, glass of cognac, glass of rum even. But gin is really, made for mixing. And so that also puts this drink in an interesting place where you definitely want to use something that you're going to enjoy drinking on its own, but we're also going to try to give something and give some more extra flavor and spice to it with the bitters. That said, just like if you're making a martini that's really gin heavy, we're gonna try to get this super, super cold as we make it. And so I'm gonna be stirring over ice in my mixing glass here. And really we have two options that we need to consider. We can mix the bitters in the mixing glass with the gin and then just strain it and be done with it. Or we can do a like heavy bitter rinse of the glass with the bitters, chill the gin separate, and pour it in. And I think that's the route. Still there? All right. So I think that's the route that I'm gonna take now. Is do the sort of rinse. I'm not gonna even dump it. I'm just gonna let those extra bitters stay there, and then add in our ice cold gin. So let's start by preparing the glass. So I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take my bitters, and I really want a healthy dose of bitters in there. I just did like 5 or 6 strong dashes. If you're using a dropper bottle, I would say each of those dashes is like 1 full dropper full. So do maybe 4 or 5 droppers full till you have a good amount of those bitters in here. And you can go to the bar and you can order a gin and bitters, and that's like also a thing, which is basically the same thing. So I'm giving it a nice rinse, getting it all around. But like I said, I'm gonna definitely have some that are stuck right there in the bottom, and that's gonna be delicious. I'm gonna grab some ice. Looks like we have Tara maybe joining the chat. Tara, how you doing? Good show out for a Memorial Day weekend. Here, hope you're all having a nice cocktail or a nice drink. So I'm going to get my ice going in my glass. This, of course, doesn't just chill it, it also dilutes it in appropriate amount. And what's nice about stirring, too, is that you can get that just right. So I'm going to measure out 2 ounces of my gin. And courtesy of the great Zach Abramson, going to do some stirring with our stirring music. So I'm going to go nice and long here to get this nice and chilled. You can smell the botanicals coming up from the mixing glass. It's quite nice. All right, so we've got our bittered glass here, ready to go. Now I'm going to take my gin and I'm going to pour it right into there. Now the obvious question is, how pink is it? How pink is this pink gin? Mine is more like a golden, it's like a golden gin. I'm not sure how yours is looking. Like the like an amber, a golden amber color. But let's give it a smell and a taste. Ooh, those bitters are coming through really nicely. Really strong on the nose with the cinnamon, the allspice, even more than the botanicals from the gin, I feel like. Let's give it a taste. Oh, quite nice. Quite nice. That's quite a nice way, in my estimation, to enjoy some gin. I'm admittedly like not the hugest fan of like a really dry martini that's just super gin forward. But there's something about the bitters flavor that it brings to this that I think pushes it forward. And I'm sure, if I were on a boat trying to get rid of my seasickness, and had to take a hefty dose of bitters, this would be something that would be quite palatable. I quite like it. Is this going to be my go-to drink for, am I just going to whip this up if I'm like, oh, I'd like a drink. I think I'm going to have a pink gin. I don't think so. This is a fun experiment. It's a tasty drink. It's a good way, I think, to like actually have and taste the bitters. And there's something too about the gin. If I were to do this with, you could probably pull it off with some whiskey, but I feel like other spirits, there's almost be like the flavors wouldn't be complementary enough just to drink it straight if you're looking for that bitters emotion coming out of it. The bitter, the attitude from the bitters. It's good. All right, so that's about it for me. What I was up to before now, and I'm about to go back to, I don't know if anybody else is watching The Match on TNT, which is the charity golf event that pits Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning against Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady. But that's on now. It's been a lot of fun. Really crappy weather where they're playing in Florida, but it seems like the rain has mostly let up and the course is wet. But there's a healthy dose of trash talking. They have no caddies. Every player has their own cart that they're driving, and all the carts are mic'd up and cameraed up, and they're all mic'd up and have earpieces and mics all over them. So it's fun to watch their banter. Phil Mickelson is totally like geeking out on everything and giving long academic explanations and advice to Tom Brady. Tom Brady's pretty much sucking it up. He's not having a great start to the event. And Peyton Manning seems to be enjoying giving him shit about that. And they'll also throw up, it's been fun, some celebrity tweets that other folks. JJ Watt has been really active at commenting via Twitter on what's going on in the match. So if you're sitting around and you have basic cable, you have a sports itch that you want to scratch, it's definitely something that's on now in a world where we have very, very little live sport action. That's going, and we'll see. When I left it, they were still tied. Nobody had taken the lead. I don't know if that's changed. I don't know if anybody in the chat is watching. And we'll see. I think I was talking to my dad earlier today, who might be in the chat. Hi, Dad, if you're in there. But I read this morning. I was pretty sure that Peyton and Tiger were favored. They had the favored money line in Vegas, but not by a ton. So we'll see how that goes. All right.
It's 5 o'clock. Why not have a drink with me?
Hope everybody continues to have a great MDW. Small programming note, might be a touch late tomorrow evening, depending on Helen and I have a small outing planned for the mid-afternoon, and so I will definitely be making a cocktail. There's a chance that it will be just a little bit later than 5 o'clock, but either way, hope to see you there. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.